What's up guys, Rhen here with another 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross video. Today we're doing a unit review on Green Lilia. This is my first unit review, and what a one for a first one. This is going to be a doozy. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so this is going to be my first ever unit review, and the Green Lilia banner is here. We're going to go look at the banner itself, then we're going to do a review of the unit skills, and you guys might be surprised because it may not be the skills that you read. You may have misread them. Alright, here's the banner. It costs gems. It's a step up just like the slime was. There's some 1 diamond draws on here. Those are pretty cool. There's an SSR on here. That's pretty cool. Another 1 diamond on step 7. When you get to the end, you get it for Lilia. That's pretty cool. So what's wrong with it? Well, the problem that people have with it is that this unit was given away 100% for free on JP, even though there's these SSR pendants, anvils, blah, blah, blah. People are a little outraged, and I say a little, I'm being very kind. People are mad. So I'm going to talk about that at the end of this video after we look at her skills and what her skills should be. I really want to summon on her. I haven't summoned her on her yet, even though I usually would do that first thing. I'm kind of in a moral dilemma here, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Alright, so let's jump in and look at her skills. You can see clearly from my box I don't have her. I really would like her. I'll talk about that at the end, but let's jump into it. Okay, so she's a green human. Let's take a look at her first skill. Her first skill is called Great Equalizer, and let's just look through it. Okay, so Great Equalizer provides benefits to all players regardless of gem totals, bestows 30% hopeful buff to the community. So this is actually a pretty interesting skill. The first part I think is particularly interesting, which is that because she is a free unit, she really is going to benefit all players. Not only is she free, everybody gets her at the same time. So in terms of who has these tools available, it really kind of equalizes the tools that people have available to them by giving it out for free, which I think is a really cool move. Bestows 30% hopeful buff. So the hopeful buff is pretty good because I think that really energizes and gets people in a really positive mood about the game. This game has been out, people are loving it, and I think this is really just going to re-energize the community, and people are just going to love this. So let's look at the next skill. Right, so let's pull up her second skill. Okay, her second skill is arguably maybe even better than the first. The second skill is Shield of Optimism. So the Shield of Optimism heals community by 100% of attack and grants the Optimism buff. So let me just start with the healing. I think the healing is actually super underrated, maybe even a little overpowered. The community did get a little bit of damage from some of the missteps that have happened in the past. So I think this healing skill is certainly going to heal the community, which will totally counteract all the bad will, ill will that's been done, and that's residing in the community right now. Then in addition, by granting this optimism buff, that's going to reduce future bad feelings. So even if there is some miscommunication or misunderstandings going forward, because the community will now have this optimism buff, nobody will really be fazed by it. Everybody will understand that Netmarble has our best interests, in their heart, and we'll really just live in harmony between the players and the developers, really as it should be with a game like this. Right, so far 2 awesome skills, but just wait, let's look at the ult. Okay, so her ult is Bringer of Chaos. Now this one may be a surprise to you after seeing the first 2 skills because it takes a little bit of a different strategy. So this one is going to deal 235% emotional damage to the community. If the community is hopeful, this damage is doubled. So, I mean, you guys probably remember from the skill 1 Great Equalizer that it is almost always going to have that skill have been used before she ults. So I would say, 95% of the time, the community is going to have this hopeful buff, and so I would say this skill is definitely going to do double damage. Now, the damage multiplier in the skill is not that good. It's a single target. Well, I mean, it targets the community. So the community, some could argue that it's segmented. Really, this is meant to target the whole community. So even though it's single target, it really kind of acts like an AoE because this is going to hit everybody. The damage is okay. I mean, with that hopeful double damage buff, it is going to be pushing 500%. Her attack is okay, so I mean, it's not the best ult, but it's not the worst for sure. 20% chance to deal shaft damage. Now, this is really interesting. The shaft damage increases total damage by 800% and ignores resistance. That is a game changer. If that hits, that is going to one-shot for sure any individual who is interested in following this game. Now, the problem with the shaft is that there's only a 20% chance for the shaft damage to proc. That's somewhat weak compared to other skills you may choose to use. I personally don't like to rely on these super RNG type skills because when they hit, it's fantastic. But let's be honest, 4 times out of 5, the community is not going to get shafted by this. So, I mean, it's good and it's a good attempt, but I really think that's where the skill falls short. But hang on, give me 1 second. Okay, I didn't read the bottom part here. It says chance to apply shaft damage is increased by 14% for each free copy of Lilia given out on the JP servers. Okay, so I believe the JP servers got 6 copies. So I'm going to take 14 times 6, that's 84%. Add the base percentage is 20. Okay, so here we go. So when you add in this this last multiplier, we actually get to 104% chance to apply the shaft. Now, there is no shaft resistance that's been released in the game right now. So basically, if you're using this unit, there is a 100% chance that the community is going to get the shaft anytime she ults. That's pretty powerful. I don't think we've seen a unit with an ult this powerful before. So, when people are talking about, is she a game changer? I'd say she's definitely a game changer. I mean, there's been no other ult or no other action really that has given as strong of a shaft to the community. Now, this is just my opinion. Some people may feel differently, but that's what the skill reads, and that's the math behind it. All right, finally, we're going to take a look at our passive. So let's pull that up. Her passive is the unique skill Failed Gambit. If Green Lilia is released as a part of a banner that requires gems, reduces net marble future revenue by 16%. So that is actually pretty powerful. I mean, 16% may not seem like a huge reduction, but remember that's revenue, not profit. The costs to run this game don't change whether or not they reduce their revenue. So the costs are fixed. The profit is to what extent the revenue exceeds their costs. And so by reducing the revenue by 16%, their profit is really going to be reduced by significantly more than 16%. Some may say that's still not a big deal, and maybe that's true, but keep in mind this is a stacking effect, and this will stack with the other revenue reducing effects that we have already had on some of the previous banners. So overall, I'd say this is a pretty good passive. So overall, I'd say she's a pretty good unit. I mean, her 2 skills are excellent. I'd say they're very versatile. Her ult is fantastic. Overall, she is a must-have. Every global player must summon. All right, guys, this is fun and all, but let me take a little bit of a more serious note here. I'm actually a little disappointed by this move from Netmarble. Those of you who know me know that I typically have been falling in kind of an optimistic viewpoint, which is to say when there's misunderstandings and miscommunications, I try to give Netmarble the benefit of the doubt just because I really appreciate this game. I know it takes tons of time and effort to make a game like this, and I think they have really done a fantastic job. So I try to give them, I err on the side of, letting things slide and giving them the benefit of the doubt. That being said, this just feels a little different to me than, some of the other things we've had in the past. Some of the other things in the past, there's been some misunderstandings, mistranslations, things have been released at different times on the JP versus Global. I'm okay with that. Some people haven't liked it as much. I understand this is a different game than the JP server, and so, I'm not too upset when they switch schedules around or change things up a little bit. But to me, this kind of is moving things in a little bit of a different direction. Not to say that this wasn't their plan all along, but I think a lot of people expected that this unit would be given out at least for free, maybe not 6/6 for free, but at least that players would have access to this unit for no additional cost or gems, and that's not quite how it played out. So, I mean, a lot of people are disappointed. I can certainly understand that. I personally am very conflicted because I really like the design of this unit. I'm a collector, so I want to collect all the units. I want to max them out, use them for different stuff, just because that's one of the things that I really like doing. So I really want to pull in this unit, and at the same time, I don't want to necessarily support this type of a trend of taking things that were given for free in other situations and making them sort of less free, if you will. So I don't want to support the trend to move in that direction, but at the same time, I would really like the unit, so I'm a little bit torn what to do. I've decided not to pull for now on the banner, and we'll see, kind of how this plays out. What I'm really hoping is that, Netmarble will, see some of the feedback that the community is giving them, and they'll choose to do something different. I don't know what it would be at this point. I'm not even sure what it would need to be to sort of quote unquote heal the community or to make up for this perceived egregious action that they've taken. I really hope that they are able to make up for it, because I would hate to see, a split in the community over a unit like this. It's just not good for the game. It's not good for the community, and I think it's just a bad thing in the long run. So that's my 2 cents. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you got some entertainment out of it. But again, I really hope we see things start to move in a slightly different direction going forward. So with that, I'll leave you guys to it. Hope you have a good day. Hope you enjoyed this, and stay tuned for more stuff. See ya.